Our first person on our panel discussion with experience that ranges from Sun Microsystems to NASA, from Google to Stanford, co-authoring the AI textbook, and to being a cat and dog dad. Please welcome to the stage Peter Norvig. Hi, Peter.
Hey.
Come have a seat. Choose the chair. Now, with experience that ranges from Siri getting acquired by Apple, Viv Labs getting acquired by Samsung, GamePlanner.ai getting acquired by Airbnb, and his mad magic skills getting acquired by the hit TV show Penn and Teller Fool Us, please welcome to the stage Adam Cheyer. Hey, Adam.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome. So there's been a lot of talk about the future of AI and where to go. I'm sure there's some investment bankers, some VC people. Short answers. What's your prediction 5-10 years from now for the trends?
More of the same. And I'm busy watching the scaling law paper from Dario saying when you double your number of computing power and data and parameters, it keeps getting better. And eventually that's going to asymptote out. But it hasn't asymptoted out yet. So I think that's really exciting. I think inference time compute is exciting. Language models are great. This idea that you can predict the next word is amazing. And I've been doing natural language since 1980, and I always thought I'd have an intelligent conversation with a computer, but I didn't think it would happen this way. Because just predicting the next word, that doesn't seem like artificial intelligence to me. That seems like an artificial politician. Yeah. That you can just generate the next word, and we've seen, unfortunately, that you can be successful just babbling like that. But true artificial intelligence is not just saying, here's the next word, it's saying, let me think about that. Oh, here's some possibilities. Here's some other possibilities. Let me criticize those possibilities. Let me combine them together. And only when I've done that, now I'll start talking. And I think we're moving in that direction, and we'll see more of that in the coming years.
Same question, Adam, but look historically and see if you can project forward.
So I think that in 10 years, with accelerating change happening so fast, we'll be completely bored with large language models. We'll say, that's not AI. Because looking backwards, AI in the 80s was expert systems. But then soon, that's not AI. It didn't solve everything. And then, it was about agents. And, but that's not AI. And then it was about search. And then it was about deep learning. Just how many years ago? 3 years ago? AI meant deep learning. Now it means something else. So I'd say looking historically, the definition of AI changes. These technologies do impact society in huge ways. But AI is magic. Right?
Yeah.
And we're always looking for that spark. What really would be AI? And today it is. 10 years from now, it'll be amazing, but it won't be AI.
So there's the mystical, spiritual magic. You're an actual magician that does magic. Can you find a connection between the magician magic and AI?
Well, for me, humans are amazing.
Yeah.
And the reason I got into this field 40 years ago was I wanted to learn about the miracle that is the human mind. What we do, what every one of us in this room has, is special and has still not been equaled by any of the greatest technologies minds have had. So for me, we are the magic. And AI tries to interpret that and tries to be like us, tries to do things like us and approach magic. And in the theater, magic is also trying to approach magic. It's, there's usually some wires or magnets or something involved. It's not real, but we're the real magic. And I think both AI and magic are trying to become as close to real as possible.
And Peter, one of the reasons I know you as well as I do is we have dogs that like to play together. Can you find a connection between watching your cats and dogs and you building and designing AI models? Have you ever looked at your cat and said, "Oh,
now I understand.
Now I get it"?
Well, the idea of reinforcement learning came about with experiments with animals, and now that's all we do, right? We teach these systems a good boy or a bad boy and do more of that or do less than that. And that seems to be pretty effective.
A lot of people anthropomorphize AI. Do you have strong opinions about that?
I guess I feel like, I'm a technologist at my heart. I'm a programmer. I build tools. I'm also interested in the magic of the mind. But mostly I want to build stuff that's useful to people.
Yeah.
And so I want to build these tools, and I want to build them so they help humanity and that they're compatible with the way people think and they're useful to what you want to do. And I think, that's what I'm focused on. And I'm not focused on replacing humans. We know how to make humans the old-fashioned way. And my wife and I did it twice. She did more of the work. But we got it done, and the outputs were great and amazing, and I love that. And let's build technology that augments us rather than tries to replace us. And I think that makes sense from a philosophical point of view. I also think it makes sense from an economic point of view, right? So people are worried about, what's going to happen with job loss and so on. And we have a choice of the technology we build. And economists talk about complementary technologies, where if one gets better, then you sell more of the other, right? So razors and razor blades, they both go up together, versus substitutive technologies. If you sell more Coke, you'll sell less Pepsi. So let's make AI be complementary, where if the AI gets better, then the people gets better, and we get more employment and better wages and more life satisfaction.
I agree with that. I just want to say a few words about anthropomorphism. People want to connect with their technology, right? And there's been a lot of research at Stanford and others, Cliff Nass, and that people want to connect. However, there's a risk and a reward by anthropomorphizing technology. People don't know this. We're in the house of Microsoft here, but the first viral video before YouTube, before social media, was an I Hate Clippy video that went worldwide.
I think the sound just cut out.
Sorry. No, but I give it, we know Eric Horvitz and people who worked on incredible technology. People cared about Clippy because of the anthropomorphism, but if you don't measure up, people will turn on you. It's a love-hate relationship. Same kind of thing with Siri. Why did Siri take off? A lot of it was because it had personality that was different. It would surprise and delight. It would go a little further than you expected. So you'd say, what's the weather? Say, it's raining tomorrow and 70 degrees. Don't forget your galoshes. And you'd be like, oh, a little more. So anthropomorphic interfaces have the possibility to create human connection, which you want in your products, but it's tricky because people can turn on you if it doesn't measure up to expectations.
Go ahead.
I think we want to make those types of connections. So, Robert, I think the first event I did with you was a screening of the movie Her.
Right.
So we watched the movie, and then afterwards I fielded questions. And one of the questions was, what other sci-fi AI movie does this remind you of? And I said, Her reminds me of Life of Brian, because they're both about having faith.
Yeah.
Right? So in Life of Brian, it's like, here's this schmuck, Brian, but we want to believe that he's the savior.
Right.
And in Her, here's this operating system, and we want to believe that she's my girlfriend. And I think that's built into us. We want to make those types of connections. But like Adam says, you got to do it right,
Yeah.
or else everything goes wrong.
Adam, one of the stories I remember you telling in the past was about how you thought like a magician to kind of pitch your products and built these like surprise and delight moments into it. Do you have a quick story?
Sure. So I do think there are lessons from magic that can be used when you're designing and building your products. So there's a famous expression, I think Maya Angelou, that says, people will not remember what you said, they will not remember what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And both in magic and in technology, you want to try to do that. If you think about Steve Jobs, remember when he presented the iPod Nano? He didn't say, here are the specs, here are this. He used a magician's technique that created emotion and anticipation, and this is what you want to do in a product demo. He said the iPod was always about being 1,000 songs in your pocket. Pause. Have you ever wondered, and there was this huge screen that showed a jeans pocket. Have you ever wondered what that little pocket at the top of your pocket is for? And everyone went, no way. It's the same kind of thing as, oh, that card which across the room, which I haven't seen, it couldn't possibly be your signed card. No way. And then he's like, here's the iPod Nano. And so I would say when you're designing your products, always look for ways to not only to add and sprinkle in surprise and delight in them, but when you're presenting them, really focus on that emotion. And there's a lot of lessons that can be learned from the field of magic that you're an expert in.
I personally love hearing stories of the people who influenced us, and people are going to go off and tell stories about meeting Adam and Peter. Could we hear a story about someone that influenced each of you? Starting with Peter.
So I remember when I was a graduate student in 1981, and Jeff Hinton, who's now Nobel Prize winner and recognized as one of the fathers of neural net, came to Berkeley, and he gave his talk about neural nets, and we've been doing good old-fashioned AI. So my fellow grad students and I said, yeah, we'd heard about this neural net stuff, but now we're really excited. Let's go back into the lab and build it. And there was no software to download then. There was no internet, so we had to build it all on our own, and we got it running, and it did some toy examples, and we said, oh, this is cool. And then we said, now let's try a real example. And it ran overnight, and it didn't converge. And then it ran the second night, and it still didn't get an answer. And so then we gave up. And I wish I still had that program, because if I had a cluster of GPUs, it would probably run in a second and give me the right answer. But I think this really shows where we are today. I talked about this scaling earlier, is that we can do things now that we couldn't do then. And it was just the ideas were too early. Now is the right time.
What about you, Adam?
Well, I was lucky enough to get to work with not only the person who popularized the mouse when he came out with the Mac and Windows.
You almost owned it too.
Steve Jobs, but I also got to work for 15 years with Doug Engelbart, who was the creator of the mouse. He had the patent.
I'm sorry, I'm conflating stories. Peter
60s.
almost owned that mouse once.
Oh yes, that's true.
You finish your story.
Yes.
And so Doug was someone who saw the scale of computing coming. And he told me that Gordon Moore, who did Moore's Law, was actually in the audience when he was talking about how transistors were going to go exponential. And Gordon Moore said, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what the rate is. But Doug was there first. He created pretty much everything we use today. Everything. One guy. He created mouse, text editors, graphical interfaces, everything we know pretty much of the personal computer, everything we know of the web, hyperlinks, multimedia documents, distributed documents, everything we know of collaboration, right? Real-time document editing, video conferencing like Zoom. He could literally be working together and fading the face of the person he was collaborating with behind text that they would both edit. So you could be looking at the document and each other's eyes at the same time. And he did it wirelessly in 4K of RAM in 1968. I think this is crazy, right? So why did he create all this technology? Because he said someday the world is going to be faced with complex, urgent, global problems. And I can tell you his prediction is right? Things like global warming, and climate change, hunger, poverty, water, war, human rights, animal rights. These are big problems that even the best AI is not going to solve for us. He believed not in AI, but in CI, collective intelligence, bringing people together to collaborate and work through bigger problems. And so for me, I think he was an inspiration. I think he should be an inspiration to all of us. And when we talk about AI, it's not just about the technology, it's AI working with humans, humans working with humans to solve the big problems that are in front of us. That's what we need more of.
Did you want to put a pin on the mouse story?
So once I was at an event at Berkeley, and Doug was also speaking there, and it was in his older years, and he wasn't driving anymore. So I got to drive him home. We had an amazing conversation on the way. And when we got to his door, he got out of the car and left his briefcase, which held the original mouse in it. And I could have had that sucker up on eBay. But instead, I had to knock on his door and say, Doug, you probably want to keep this.
I'm going to ask for quick answers because we have to end at 8:10, get out of here. And everyone, thank you for moving quickly. And someone's going to get Peter's book. Stick around for a second so I can get that to you. I think I shouldn't say early, the more ChatGPT versions is thinking fast, and now it's thinking slow and checking all that. What's any predictions what the next paradigm shift is to level up AI? What's next? Like, what's the next way that AI is going to work or think?
I'll give you 3 quick things. And if any of you out there are looking for your next company to do, I think this is a billion-dollar company. Number 1, what's missing? AI is about knowing and doing. We saw some work on agentic, and it's starting to do, but really, we have a long way to go. It's great at knowing. It's not good at doing. ChatGPT can't do anything even Siri did. Number 2, the right interface. How does AI fit graphical interfaces? There's a reason why every website, every app is not a chat interface. GUIs are great. What's the right mix of language meets graphics? It's not just a chat bot. And number 3, we need an app store so that a two-sided marketplace can emerge where every business can play. Today, you have a large language model that sucks stuff in. Businesses are really left out. The reason why the web and mobile took off, a two-sided marketplace. We need something like that for LLMs.
And a 30-second answer from Peter.
I guess I also want to have a better way to communicate with these models, right? So right now it's mostly we do prompt engineering. And then we do things like synthetic data. And that just seems wrong. So synthetic data says, I have a theory of how light interacts with a picture, so I'm going to generate lots of pictures and then give it to you as examples. I think it'd be much better to just say, here's the theory of how light interacts, and if you want to generate your own examples, go ahead and do that. But I don't want to say the only way I can communicate is through examples. I want to be able to say, here's something that I know, remember this, use this theory. And I think it's been incredible to me, as someone who started out in natural language, of how much is captured in natural language. We always thought there's some stuff on the page, but there's also a lot of stuff going on in my head, and we were really focused on what's going on in the head. And then we learned, no, just give it a bunch of pages, and it does it all by itself. So I think that's amazing. But I think natural languages like English are not the only language. And so there's a language of mathematics, there's a language of programming, the language of chemistry, and so on. And I think we need to do a better job of incorporating those and allowing them to reason at all levels.
Big idea.
Adam and Peter, everyone.